time's up. Let's do this.
Hey, hi, we're back. So hi everyone. Let's do a brief introduction. I'm Bjorn, and here's my co-caster Allura. So today we'll be casting the games from the Neon Poly Hearthstone tournament. So we're done with the winners bracket just now. So with that now, the remaining games till the grand finals will be actually casting games from the losers bracket. So yeah, so we are just waiting for the next game to come around. So meanwhile, maybe we can just talk a little bit more about next rounds and what we hope to see or we think will happen.
Well, I'm actually looking forward to certain cards, like particularly I think Lothab and the Spectral Knight. There's been a lot of hype about those, although they're not out yet. But like it's very hotly anticipated for those cards. Yeah, I really want to add them to.
Yeah, I mean for those that actually played the solo adventure, so they have already encountered some of these neutral minions.
Yeah,
and
correct.
Spectral Knight was one of the minions that I thought was a pain to deal with because it was a 4/6 deck. It was a 4/6 fairy dragon.
Yep.
And at 6 toughness is already so hard to deal with.
Yeah, it
And
is.
it's only at 5 mana, right?
Yeah, it is
Yeah,
5
so
mana.
so
5 mana
it's
for
it's
4/6.
so hard to deal with. Like, I foresee it being pretty much of a staple card in the near future, actually.
Yeah, and most of the. In fact, I think all mid-range decks will just be auto-include double copies of it.
But I guess if they're not playing Drake, then they're playing that, right? Unless
I mean, who knows, man?
I mean, Drake is the other good 5-drop that people.
Yeah, people
really
might
play,
put in Drakes as well because they're just so good. But yeah, I could see maybe they would cut like one Drake, put in like 2 Spectral Knights or something,
Yeah, I
or
mean,
one. I'm not
I
sure.
guess it's the
Yeah.
it's not sitting in the position of the best value minion of the 5 drops,
Yeah.
like how Yeti is for the 4
4
drop.
drops, yeah.
Yeah, and how Boulder Fist is for the 6 drop, I guess, in terms of stats. But I guess 6 is pretty debatable. We have so many things like
Yeah,
King
yeah,
Dark and
like
whatnot.
current.
But at least for 5 drop, it's definitely the Spectral. Okay,
Alright.
yeah. So we just have a confirmation. So this will be losers round 4.
Yeah.
So I guess after round 4, there might be a round 5 and then followed by the semi-finals and then the finals of the
Yep.
losers bracket.
So plenty of games to cast.
Okay, yeah, apparently there's some technical
Technical
issues with
difficulties.
adding of the players.
Oh dear.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So we just got more free time, so let's talk more about the next and potential decks, I suppose. Lothab, another one. I think that we've been looking forward to.
So that, I guess he's pretty good in terms of value stats, right?
I mean, vanilla. 5 for 5/5 is okay, right? It's just
It's
okay. It's not
that's
like
normal.
super good or anything like that. But like the fact that it has Battle Cry, or like basically makes the opponent unable to play any spells the next
You
turn.
mean they can't play any spell?
I mean, they can play spells, but like if it's 5 mana more, I mean, think of it. If you play on turn 5, everything else costs 5 more. The only spells they can cast are like those, what do you call that? 1 cost, 0 cost spells.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right, even coin costs 5 mana to cast. You can't even cast a coin.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, so it's
So
like,
after 5, yeah, actually at 5 mana is the sweet spot cause Gatchazon Australian is also at turn 5, right? So
I don't know about playing it.
you
on-
have to wait for the
I don't think
Gatchazon.
I don't think you play it like pre-Gadgetzan, like, cause he's just gonna play Gadgetzan, right? But then like, I guess it prevents things like Gadgetzan, coin, conceal, but he has that exact combination. So
So I guess you do think ideally it's better to play before the Gatchazon or after the Gatchazon?
I would think that playing it after the Gadgetzan is better, like, cause after the Gadgetzan is on the board already, then he starts to cast his spells and then gain value from
Right.
the Gadgetzan, right? So
So I guess
yeah.
the most you can do is just take the Gatchazon and just hit face for 4 or attempt to trade with the weapon or something.
Possibly, but I mean, I don't know. I think it's more of a counter to things like maybe like even freeze mage and shit like that. Like they just can't cast spells for a whole turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get into the next game. So it's let's see, KyonaLeo and Kenneth.
Yes, KyonaLeo versus Kenneth.
So yeah, KyonaLeo will be on top and Kenneth at the bottom.
Yep.
Druid against
Warlock. It
and
looks like a handlock. Yeah.
which is the perfect thing to play against a Druid, right? I mean,
Well, I mean, it depends on the Druid's hand as well, because like if they get off to a real blistering fast start with like say Wild Growth and stuff like that, and start ramping up really quickly. So you can see from his hand,
Yeah,
he's got
that's
a
a
Wild
Wild
Growth
Growth.
already, so it's pretty good. And if he draws into things like the Keeper of the Grove, but the most important cards that you want to see in this matchup is Keeper of the Grove and the BGH.
That's
if
right.
he drops like if he drops like the Twilight Drake or he drops like Giant and then he gets like answered immediately, then the tempo is so much in favor of the Druid that it's quite difficult for the Handlock to come back.
That's pretty true. I guess the common stereotype that people always say that is that Handlock beats Druid very favorable, but I guess with recent times, the meta shifts, people start to play differently. Druid seems to go pretty, I won't say pretty much 50-50, but their chances are way higher.
I think it depends on the kind of Druid that you're actually playing, because like if you're playing things like the Token Druid, for example, and then you get a really good hand, like say you have like the Violet Teacher innovate into Power of the Wild, and then suddenly the board is just so full, and then they finish off with like double Savage Raw or something like that, and it's not like turn 5 or 6 or something, and you already did. So yeah, it's very difficult. It's hard to say, but as you can see from the Druid's hand, I think I see a Ragnaros in there. So I think it might just be the standard.
I think it's the standard Ram
Druid,
Druid, yeah, with Mark of the Wild and things like that.
Yeah. So it's not like the one with the massive taunts or the just the standard mid range.
Okay, so as you can see, while we were talking, Senjin was thrown down.
Yep.
Harvest Golem was thrown down, and of course Twilight Drake on the other side. What I thought was pretty, like he could have done was to actually play Mark of the Wild on the
Harvest
Golem instead. So there's a double taunt, and you are still forced to trade the Harvest Golem, which in return still.
Well, I guess like if you play on the Harvest Golem, then if he gets owled, right, then you kind of lose you kind of lose the damage golem as well. But on the other hand, I suppose he plays around like if he puts it on the Senjin, then the Senjin like because the idea behind putting it on the Senjin, right, is so that when the Twilight Drake attacks into the Senjin, you can't just get a free Mortal Coil off it. So like he adds so he actually has to use a card, in this case the Owl, to silence the Owl and then use the Mortal Coil on that. So yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so he ends up like actually wasting a Wrath and a Keeper on the Grove just to kill the Twilight Drake, which is weird because he could have just silenced and then used the Harvest Golem to just trade it in.
Yep.
So yeah, he might have his reasons. He might have thought about it later. So with that, the Druid is now pretty much okay. I wouldn't say short-handed, but as in he doesn't have a lot of cards in his hand.
Yeah, but as you can see from the hand of the Warlock as well, he doesn't really have a lot of things to play either. Like the only neutral drop I can see from here is just tossing out the Urban Ring Spas here, which just does stun. He's got to tap into his other big threats like his Giants. The Molten Giant doesn't see play till he hits at least, the teens in terms of life.
I think KyonaLeo was pretty fortunate to actually draw the Ancient of Law there, so he actually replenishes back his hand.
Oh, so he's playing the slower version of Druid. It has like Ysera and then...
Yeah, Ysera, Rag. I think Rag is pretty common, but not the Ysera. And okay, with that, so now Kenneth is actually forced to make a decision if he wants to siphon here.
I think you just siphon. Like, from the information that he has had, like most Druids, they wouldn't run, too many, like Ysera is an oddity in this scenario, right? And he has a second Siphon Soul anyway, so like if Rag comes out now, he can still answer it with Siphon Soul, right? I think it's rather straightforward play, but I think the one that would really throw him off is putting Ysera the next turn, because then he runs out of answers for Ysera.
That's right. So with this, he's definitely gonna just siphon away the Ragnaros, no questions asked.
From this you can see like although it's rather obvious to us, like because we can see that there's Ysera in his hand, but like for him he has no idea. So it's like
I guess.
Oh wait,
I guess Faceless is a pretty good
Faceless and double Soul Fire.
He could just Soul Fire.
Oh, Soul Fire one hopes for a 50-50.
Oh, double Soul Fire is pretty painful on the hand, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's also
he chose Soul Fire. Well, I guess you just tap here and pass the turn and pray that it hits the Ragnaros.
Yeah, it's gonna be a 50.
So yeah, it's gonna be a 50. Oh, it doesn't tap.
Yeah.
And we hit Rag.
Oh,
no, it doesn't. So that's pretty unfortunate. Okay, but I guess on the bright side, KyonaLeo doesn't have a big game hunter too, but he just throws down the SR, so
yeah.
And it's just exchange of 8 damage to each other's face each turn.
This is not looking good for our handlock player, but this will turn it around. Shadow Flame's a pretty good card to use.
Shadow Flame is pretty good. He could just play the Giant.
Well, I mean, he could try for the 50-50 again. Siphon Soul on the.
You would throw down the Giant before Siphon, right?
Yeah, I think you do that, but
But
he
he just
missed,
didn't.
yeah.
Is he is he gonna try for another 50-50 right here?
It does look like it. But oh dear.
That's pretty
Yeah, I think he
unfortunate.
just realized it. Look at this. He's like smiling to himself. He's
Oh.
like, oh dear, I should have
I should have
tossed
just
out that
played.
Molten
Yeah, I
Giant.
should just played the Molten Giant. Oh, and another exchange.
KyonaLeo is so happy right now. He's like, oh my god, it's just two 50-50 flips that I missed. I mean that he missed on.
Okay, with that is a guaranteed 8 damage to the face,
Yep.
right? With Dream. So I guess. Oh yeah, and Force of Nature. So
Yeah,
that's
that's actually game here.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Right now, it just feels like hitting people in the face today.
Yes, it does. So that'll be the end of game 1.
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think not dropping the giant kind of cost Kenneth the game probably. I'm not sure.
No, I could have bought him another turn, perhaps. That would have been.
Yeah, you know,
It would have been
the
something.
The 8 might have gone
Yeah.
elsewhere instead.
Oh well.
Okay, so with that, well, the handout actually lost to a Druid, so
Yeah.
a very good start for the Druid.
I mean,
Slightly slower version.
the
We know
game
there's
could have
Sarah.
the game could have went differently, like because some of the player decisions, their
yeah.
choices, could have put them ahead, but certain plays when maybe you didn't see the plays. I'm not sure, but yeah.
Yep.
It's
So
the way
let's
it
move
is.
on to the next game.
Yeah.
So, okay, so it's a Druid against Mage. Quite strange once you see a Shield
Yeah,
Bearer.
Shield Bearer. That's interesting card.
I'm assuming it's going. I'm assuming it's like some control deck probably. I mean, if you've seen cards like Shield Bearer, lots of draws, mirror images.
Could be.
Polymorph,
It could be
no?
like a draw freeze mage perhaps. So yeah, with Antonidas, yes, Antonidas and Pyroblast.
It could be a
so-
free mage. I mean, freeze mage.
Yeah,
right here.
freeze perhaps. No, I think. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and look at the
No, he's
Druid.
got
I mean,
Wild Growth
he got
again,
the Wild
that's
Growth
great,
again,
yeah.
so that's great. So next time he can just throw down Ascension.
Yeah, he's got pretty decent curve at least. Like he has like Sanjin into Azure Drake,
Yep.
which is always pretty good to
Yeah,
toss
so
out.
so the mage doesn't waste any time. Decides to like just do coin and Arcane Intellect to just dig deeper into the deck. But which means that on the next turn, okay, he draws an Ice Barrier, so that's not too bad.
But I mean, like,
Yeah,
all
so he's
these-
just gonna Ice Barrier and set
it's
it
quite
up.
irrelevant. I think. Like, you just want as much draws as possible.
You just gotta dig as deep as you can,
Hmm.
right? I mean, I know there are players who like to keep the coin till very late. Maybe to combo off with Antonidas or to
Get out Pyroblast a turn sooner, or
Yeah,
Alex
that's right.
Straza. Yeah.
No, but with that, both players haven't taken any damage. It's turn
Mhm.
4, which is nearly halfway through the game. So I
Yeah.
guess, the mage is kind of happy, that they're already halfway through the game and all they really need is.
I actually don't agree
Alex.
with playing the
Mirror
mirror
images.
image here because I think 3 damage is okay to take as mage in the early game.
Especially
Because
as Ice
generally,
Armor.
because you can
Ice
see from
Barrier.
his hand,
Yeah.
he doesn't have Frost Nova right now, and he's got no way to protect his Doomsayer.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
right.
sure you can say that perhaps he has Keeper of the Grove or something that will counter it, but it's just
Mm.
one less thing to protect your Doomsayer.
Yep, so okay, he decides to just play the Doomsayer right now.
Mhm.
Not sure what he's going to do with the Frostbolt. I guess alternatively he could just like set up the Ice Block right now.
Yeah, see, so if you had waited on the mirror image, right, then you could have cast mirror image plus Doomsayer on this
Doomsayer,
turn,
so-
and would have protected Doomsayer without having to waste the Frostbolt. Because Frostbolt, remember the Frostbolt is super important in Freeze Mage, right? Because not only does it combo with Ice Lance for extra damage, nuke damage, right? But it also cycles together with things like Tiny Dust and stuff to get additional fireballs.
Yeah. I guess maybe Kenneth is just rushing his plays too much and he's not really thinking it through. So even things like not playing around this swipe kind of caused the whole Doomsayer to just put the strike right there.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure, the Jig is still gonna die to a ping, but he, at least he still retains his engine.
Yep.
And hasn't taken a single damage from that. And I don't think he wants to waste a fireball on this engine either, because that means that he wastes another damage output onto the face later on.
Yep. So yeah, he chooses to keep the fireballs and puts out the Ice
The
Block.
Ice Block, which is fine. And then so Rag
Oh,
comes
here
down
comes
now.
Rag.
He's gonna start chipping down right now. And
I know like Rag is just really good in this matchup, but okay, as you can see from Kenneth's hand, right, he actually plays Polymorph. Like most of the freeze mages that I'm aware of, like they don't actually play Polymorph.
Yeah,
So
that's
things
right.
like these like huge things like Ragnar or something, they actually have a really tough time trying to deal with it. But Polymorph is a pretty good answer, so he deals with it immediately.
I guess the other unfortunate thing about Kenneth is that other than the Arcane Intellect
Mm.
and maybe has he played the Drake yet? Not yet, right? Yeah. So
No.
he has only drawn 2 cards. He hasn't managed to like pull
Yeah,
out cards
Ysera
like
is a real problem here though, because I think Kenneth probably only runs only one polymorph. Like if I'm not wrong, like these kinds of decks, if they do run polymorph, it's only one. So like he has
Yeah.
got no way to deal with Alexstrasza right now.
That's right. I guess what you do is just draw, man.
I think
just
he
go
has to
Azure
draw.
Trick and double,
Yeah.
and just intellect.
The best you
and
can
draw
hope
3
for
cards.
is things like you want to draw into your. I think the only way you can effectively remove it is like maybe a Doomsayer with
Yeah.
a Frost combo or something, and then just pray and hope that he does not have what do you call that, the Keeper of the Grove,
Yeah.
or even Dream, because Dream just makes it go back into his hand. Yeah.
Oh, I don't really like that play there because I felt that he should have just draw 3 cards and
Yeah.
try and get an Alex, and then
Mm.
with the double fireball, and then he just needs to top deck another.
Oh,
time,
this is
probably
not
doesn't.
good
And this is
at
not
all.
good at all.
He-
this is horrible.
Yeah, he could cycle with like Innovate and get a free fireball even
Yeah.
on the mage. Oh, this is just this is a slaughter.
Oh, he could have killed the Antonidas, right? I mean, just by
Yeah.
dealing 2 and then you.
Yeah,
and
but
then
he doesn't really have.
running
he doesn't really-
Ysera's Awaken.
He doesn't really have to. He's not in a rush to kill it.
Yeah, there's no hurries.
He just got 3 fireballs, man.
Yeah, I mean, make that
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
Make that 4. Is that 4? Okay, it's 3.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much card advantage on the hand. The board is insane.
Yeah.
And there's just no way for Kenneth to clear right now.
Yeah, like even if he draws into his Doomguard, I mean
Yeah,
Doomsayer
Doomsayer.
right now, it's just not gonna
It's
fly.
pretty insignificant.
Yeah. You can even afford to throw like 2 fireballs at it even if you so desire, and would it be dealt with.
I mean, he still has an out somehow. He just needs to arcane intellect and start digging and not worry about.
Yeah, I don't
taking
think Ice Barrier is correct. Yeah, I think you draw.
it. You just draw.
You have to
here.
draw here. Either putting out the Azure Drake or the Arcane Intellect. At least draw.
Yeah.
There's no real point to put the ice block.
I mean,
up here, the ice barrier.
I thought the Antonidas was pretty silly because you profit nothing for the end of the day. You didn't get your fireball spell.
I mean,
'cause-
not that it's silly, but like, I think it's just perhaps inexperience or something. Because like generally, if you play Antonidas, right, you kind of want to cycle it on the turn. Like you want to cycle a couple of cards. Maybe say you toss out like a Frostbolt or an Ice Lance or something like that. Kind of
Yeah.
like get a couple of fireballs in. That's the point of having Antonidas in your deck, right?
Yeah, they get more firepower
Yeah.
from the base set.
Mm.
But I mean, freezing is freezing and ice barrier is just not going to help because with Antonidas on the other side of the table,
Yeah, he's just gonna toss
all
fireballs.
all the Drake can do is just sit back, relax, throw spells.
Okay, so the first ice block is popped already.
Yep.
So
Did he just use Ysera's Awaken there?
yeah, he did.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, okay, I mean
No, it's perfectly fine. He's
I
got
guess it's
he's
fine.
got
he has 4
fireballs in his
fireballs.
hand, man. Like he can only buy himself like one more turn, right?
I
If he,
mean,
like,
his
Arcane
best play
Intellect-
right now is like
Yeah.
Azure Drake.
No, I think
Intellect.
I think you can't Arcane Intellect. You have to draw
You just draw everything and set up
an
the
ice block,
taunt
an
and
ice
pray.
block. Yeah, but like it's just delaying the inevitable. I think because you have to, for one, your win conditions are you have to actually draw into Alexstrasza because if not he doesn't have enough DPS. Yeah, I mean you don't have enough time to accumulate another Frostbolt Ice
That's right. I
Lance,
mean,
Ice Lance combo.
if I didn't miscounted, the 3 cards that he draw was Arcane Intellect,
Mhm.
the Mirror Image, and what's the last card he used before this? I
No, I
forgot
think
what
doesn't
card.
matter, but regardless, now he
and the Ice Barrier. So
Yeah,
if he had just accelerated the draw, we have been 3
Mm.
cards ahead, and
Yeah.
things might have been different. And still too concerned about trying to protect himself instead of trying to dig for an answer.
Yeah.
To dig for Alexstrasza. I really think you should just get Alexstrasza here right now. Try and get Alexstrasza at least.
Pyroblast. Mm.
I mean, yeah, and the Azure Drake for sure.
Yeah, it's
I mean, if you think about it, if he actually just dug deeper 3 cards, he might
yeah,
have.
he's only
With
out.
Pyroblast, he could have
His
just burst
only
in.
out was ice block. He had to draw another ice block, but without that, it's game.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
just throws a fireball and a turn.
Hmm.
He doesn't have to worry.
Yeah, not at all, man. Just way too far ahead. So
Oh yeah, but that wasn't an ice block, so he just dies.
yeah, exactly. That was frost armor, which did nothing for him.
Yeah. So with that, you're up 2 game.
Yeah, pretty handily.
Yeah.
It made it look easy even. Oh my god.
Okay, so well, at least for this pair that's playing, I haven't seen any Nexoramos cards, right?
In fact, actually, I'm actually kind of surprised that he chose to use Mage against this
The
Druid
Druid?
deck, because like Freeze Mage is generally known to not do well against Druid because they
Yeah.
have heals and
Yeah,
stuff
the
like
double
that.
law,
Yeah, exactly.
maybe one
And-
Uttering Faster, and
And like the
possibility of
silencers,
killing
the
that.
silencers also deal with the like the Keeper of the Groves. They just deal with Doomsayer.
Yeah,
it
that's
just
right.
does not do anything. Yeah, so yeah, not sure why he decided to go for Mage, but yeah.
Yep, and let's move into the next game. Last deck for
Yep.
for what what's his name? Kenneth. Yeah.
Kenneth, yes.
So okay, so Kenneth decides to go with
Oh, Handlock.
Handlock.
Okay. So
Handlock.
yeah, Handlock. Handlock versus Druid.
I mean, okay, I
I
recall.
think, yeah, I think they are allowed to play this.
replay the same.
Yeah,
decks.
they are allowed to, because I think some of these players, some of them are newer, and
They only have 2 decks instead. of
yeah, they
three.
only have they have very limited decks, so they don't have really access to like more
Oh,
decks.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, then you have. I guess you could have just went Handlock all the way and try and win, right?
Perhaps. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so actually.
So okay, he decides to. Okay, I guess Kenneth is gonna go for the greedy play here, right? He's just gonna play Ancient Watcher, Silence it, and start hitting face. Or which means that he can't drop his giants
Yeah,
for
like,
a while.
I actually really do not like this play. Like, I think the only reason why you would consider even doing the Watcher into our play is if you're playing against an aggro deck, because you
Yeah.
want
Well,
to
4-5 is
secure
The
the
board.
early board presence.
Yeah.
But if you do this right, you see, you just delayed your
And he still doesn't throw down the Drake. Instead, he decides to silence.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, okay, I guess the next turn he can play his Mountain Giant.
yeah, I guess he had a change of mind after dropping the first.
I think
Ancient
this is a
Watcher.
decent recovery, I guess, because then you can throw down the Mountain Giant. But I think it was really a lot weaker than if you just threw down Giant on turn 4 and just tap all the way.
I guess on the bright
Beginning.
side, at least Starfall was used on an Ancient Watcher instead, like of
Mm.
say a potential giant.
Yeah.
So with that, hours on the board, hours gonna get killed by Shapeshift, but at least now Kenneth is able to drop down a giant,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. And he
This
just
is
needs,
exactly
he just
what-
needs to pray that there's no big
Yeah,
game
this
hunter.
is exactly what you want against Druid, because think of it this way, like in a Druid deck, right? Most Druid decks, right, they only ever run one BGH in their deck. So
That's
that's
right.
like the one answer they have against your giants. And if you have more than one giant, you just sort of automatically win if they don't draw into BGH.
Yep.
So as you can see from his hand, he's just gonna faceless this. I think that would be the best play.
Yeah, I think he's just
Like,
gonna faceless a
the giant.
giant.
Yeah, and just
Will you
keep
trade-
swinging.
Yeah,
No, just keep swinging face.
yeah,
You don't have,
you
yeah,
don't even need to trade anymore.
yeah. Faceless is probably the best play here.
Will he do the faceless? I hope he does see the faceless though.
Yeah,
he does.
faceless. He's already showed that he can't. No, that's not correct. I
Oh,
don't
man.
think, because
Oh,
this
well.
actually opens him to the Keeper of the Grove answer, because that Keeper silences it, and then you
Yeah.
can punch into it. Like the chances of him having a Keeper is 2 times as likely as getting a BGH.
Okay, so I guess it's just a different play, but
Mm.
this play doesn't propel him forward. Instead, it's just kind of stagnant. Because if the Drake just gets answered, then it's just a stalemate.
Yeah,
It
but-
doesn't progress. But if he actually faceless the giant, then
Right. Hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. Yeah, he could be saving.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
could be saving the faceless for other things like the whole Ragnaros
Yeah.
thing that happened earlier
But
on.
I mean, it's 8 more damage, and it's only turns like
Yeah.
6, and
okay, he decides to kill the Ancient Watcher. So.
oh, he decides not to silence the Keeper of the Grove. Is this, which is interesting, and
This-
I think this is
Yeah,
game.
this
here.
game, yeah, this game right here.
It is game.
Okay, I mean, despite all the weird plays, but yeah, at least kind of gets to close one game in now.
Yeah,
So that is a 2-1.
it's the beginning of a comeback, I suppose.
I
Yeah.
hope so.
So yeah.
So yeah, so things turned out well this time for the handlock. So that makes it 2-1 right now. So I guess Kenneth has to keep his handlock right there. So
Yeah.
now we get to see what the druid changes. So
Yeah.
we get to see all the other decks that
Mm.
they get to play. And okay, I've made their decision. Let's get into the next game.
Yep.
It's gonna be a handlock against a hunter.
Oh my. Well, if it's the face hunter variant, then this could be a very short game.
Yeah. I guess KyonaLeo actually,
Mm.
knows his stuff. He actually knows what deck counters what pretty well. So
Yeah.
Hunter is just pretty terrific against.
Oh, he
Like,
decided to
especially
keep
as a face.
the mountain giant. Does he suspect that this is a mid-range hunter?
I mean, he doesn't have
Oh.
information, right? So he just has to.
Yeah. Because generally, if you suspect that your opponent is playing a face hunter variant, then you want to keep things like Link.
The Ancient Watcher, the
Yeah, you
Sunfield
don't really
Protector
want
and stuff like that.
you don't really want the molten giant. I mean the mountain giant because it's
Giant.
just too slow.
Well, no, he gets Hunter's Mark then. That's
Yeah.
it. I guess it is a face hunter, right? Animal companion. Does he get Tusker, Huffer?
Well, he
Huffer?
runs. Yeah, he does get Tusker.
Yeah, he gets.
He's also running Deadly Shot, which is interesting because like most face hunters that I'm aware of don't actually run Deadly Shot, which leads me to suspect that this could be like a Sunshine Hunter or something like that from before.
Oh man.
Mm.
Let's go do serious damage. I don't think he's gonna trade. He's just gonna go for face right there.
Oh, it decides to
Oh, he
trade.
just has a trade. Okay, I guess he wants just want to protect the ball there.
Mm.
So yeah, just chipping down the damage. It's gonna
Whoa, Hellfire.
Hellfire on
Okay.
1 minion. That's pretty painful, and
Yeah.
yeah, I guess KyonaLeo is pretty happy about it. It's still 3 damage, and
Yeah.
and what he wants to do is just to deal more damage into the hero.
Mm.
So it's just good. Would you charge here? I guess you do, right? Just make use of every single damage you have right now, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, just toss it out, man. Or
But I
not.
guess he's keeping it for the Hunter's Mark play.
Oh, I mean, you have 2 balls, right? So.
Yeah.
And you've got Deadly Shot even, so even if he tosses out a big minion, then
Yeah,
he
that's
just
true.
Deadly
So,
Shots it. So
see?
you missed out on the damage there.
Yeah, he does deadly shot.
Yeah.
Gone just like that, and just gonna just arrow and pass the turn again.
Mm. So I think the only thing that he has got to really worry about now is it's like a double molten play. But even with a double molten play, you have like as long as the main issue that he does not play 2 moltens at the same time. If he plays 1
Yeah.
molten, it's fine because you have Hunter's Mark.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like pretty easy game for Pokemon, man.
Yeah.
Like it has answers for every single
Yeah.
turn. Deadly shot, and now Hunter's Mark to kill the giant.
Yes.
And then he's just gonna hang back. Maybe he's gonna hang back on the weapon. I'm not sure, but with explosive trap, you could just hold it back for a while. And that's another guaranteed 5 damage unless there's a taunt.
Yep.
So yeah, Elden Rings for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But now is it going to defend off Argus?
Oh,
Okay, he decides
play
to.
it. Oh dear.
Oh dear, so that's a 4/4,
Mm.
which is it's still something he has to punch through. But yeah, with Q command, the taunt's just gone. He just hit 8 more damage into the face. He could even just play Timberwolf just to like buff, but he might be just keeping it for Unleash the Hounds, probably.
Yeah, there's no other reason to toss it out, I think. Like only unless you get like a starving buzzard, then you toss it out for cycle.
Yeah,
But tossing it out on the board naked doesn't really help very much.
it's pretty much a combo piece right there.
So
Just
Soul
goes
Fire, does he
Fire,
discard the Molt?
okay.
No, the Mortal Coil, okay, doesn't.
Thank goodness.
Yes.
Can you
That would
imagine?
have been
Yeah, that would be disastrous. That's for sure. I guess he's not gonna tap.
Mm.
I think.
So he's
yeah.
revealed that he doesn't have Molten Giants because if he had Molten Giant, he would have
Yeah,
played it,
played it, yep.
definitely.
And so the Hymen comes down.
Oh, he wanted to toss out the Starving Buzzard first, but I didn't do so. Oh well.
I mean, okay, yeah. I mean, that's fine, right? I mean, he still does 2 damage, so
Yeah.
at least the whole goal of still trying to do damage consistently every turn is there. I mean,
So what do you do here as the handlock?
Yes, you have to tap first, right? You need options, right? Unless you're just gonna silence and Sun Fury
It doesn't help
the
you.
hour.
It doesn't help you
It's
win
not
the
gonna
game.
do
I
much
think.
also.
Like as much as you are behind it, you have literally no options.
Is he gonna tap?
If he wants
One
some,
Q
if
command
he
is
wants
gone.
some way to try to win the game, he has to tap here. I think
Yeah.
there's just really no 2 ways.
I
about
really
it.
think he has to tap, but he hasn't been tapping for the past 3 turns, I think,
Mm.
just for fear of.
Whoa!
Dying.
What is this play?
Okay, I guess he's like betting on the fact that if the high main runs into the owl, he can modify it. If not, he could
Yeah.
still just go with the hellfire play.
Oh dear.
I mean, who are we kidding, right? I mean
Oh dear.
he can even unleash the hounds if he wants to.
Tracking.
Tracking. And
Oh,
okay, that's
Leroy.
game, right? That's
Oh
game.
dear.
Yeah. Oh man, that top deck. Like not really a top deck. That
Yeah, he
that
tracked into it, so yeah. So that'll be pretty
And that's
handy
game.
win.
So yeah, that's it. So KyonaLeo is gonna make into the next round.
Yep.
3-1. So unfortunately for Kenneth, he's out of the tournament.
Yes. Unfortunate for the handlock player.
Yeah. So yeah. So what do you think of the games and the players and?
I don't know, I think like these players, they probably like you can tell that they're probably either under stress or maybe not very experienced because of the way they made some of their plays and their decision making, I think. Yeah. Because you can tell from the way the games turned out, like it could have ended very differently if they had played differently.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So with that, I guess we'll have to just wait for the next game
Yep.
again. So yeah, we'll be taking a short break right now.
Yep.
So we'll see you
Thanks
then.
for joining us.